Get ready for the world's greatest Arsenal podcast. Welcome to another podcast by Guns and Yellow Ribbons. Enjoy the show.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to Guns and Yellow Ribbons. My name is Fergus. I am your host. Oh, this is going to be hard work. And not for the reason that you all think. It's this lot I've got on with me. They are going to absolutely crucify me continuously over some private stuff in WhatsApp groups and conversations we had in Forest. I am joined by what I thought were my friends. I'm joined by Hilsey Gunnar. I'm joined by the now journalist Danish Gunnar, who is published in the Gunnar fanzine. Well done. We'll talk about that. Dale, does he remember his away day? And the ginger fella, Capo Dan. Yeah. He doesn't need a loud hailer today. He's gone guns blazing. It's the end of the season podcast. End of the season podcast, and Dan, he's going to go for me.
Dan, sit in the middle of the screen because that's going to do my head. And you sat to one side like that. I thought I was still drunk for a minute. That's better.
Well, to be honest, Uncle Ferg, it's good to see you're in a better mood than you were over the weekend because you've been in a shocking mood, didn't you? Obviously,
you start calling his Royal Fergus-ness out. We have to bow down to the mighty Fergus-ness.
Uncle Ferg, by the way. But yeah, he's been in a shocking mood. Road rage, calling people out unnecessarily, and obviously the football's just topped it off for him, isn't it, really? But good to see we're going to cheer you up tonight, Ferg. Uncle Ferg.
Come on, Ferg, get on with it, son.
Del, how are you, mate?
I'm all right. You lot cheered me right up. Yeah. Happy Monday. It's Monday. I'm really good. Yeah, just about got my voice back.
I don't like that. I don't like that reference because that reference is a Manchester reference, and we don't like Manchester reference with Happy Mondays and shit like that.
You still see the bags from under my eyes at the lack of sleep.
To be honest, I was absolutely shattered when I got back from Forest. I drove up, drove back. Yes, we did encounter a little bit of conversation with somebody in a Gulf on the M25 late in the evening, and the comment about Uncle Fergus because Reese. Now, what stays on WhatsApp should stay on WhatsApp. But okay, I'll remember that when you come and see us in the pub. So we will be talking Eddie. We'll be talking Balogun. We'll be talking lots and lots of stuff. We had a great meetup in Nottingham. Dale, you done your first away game this season, the first away game for a good while. What did you make of it, mate?
I think I hit the nail on the head with the comment afterwards. It was the pre-match beers and meetup was by far outshined the football. Always a great day with you guys at home, let alone away from home. And found a great little pub. Sun was shining. Random boat in the middle of the pub. But I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. Apart from the football.
Yeah, we were in the Canal House in Nottingham, and there was a few of us in there. Trev tried to keep his clothes on. Didn't always keep his clothes on, but the reference to Uncle Ferg is Marissa in there, and from her culture, out of respect, they called an older person Uncle Ferg, and that's where Dan came from. So Dan, you can spin it whatever way you want, but I think I've done you on that one.
I don't know, mate. It's definitely not out of respect. I can tell you that.
It was good to see Lyle. It was good to see Ben Bennett. It was good to see just everyone for our last away game. I probably made a schoolboy error by driving up, but it helped us all out. And I wasn't in the state that the majority of people are in. Alex,
hang on. We're only 3.5 minutes in. You seem in quite a rush to move on tonight. I don't know why.
I'm not in a rush to move on. We've got an agenda. It's here. It's on my screen. I know exactly what we're doing. Dan, how are you then? I'll go to Alex next, since you seem to be very petulant and impatient.
I'm actually in a really good mood, and obviously having a nice meet up with you lot definitely helped over the weekend. I think we all agree that the football wasn't what we wanted, but when you're sitting on the side of a canal in Nottingham in the sun having a nice beer with most of your good company, it's not a bad weekend, is it? Come on, there's worse things in life, so let's all try and be positive.
No, very, very true. And listen, these away days and these match days allow us to get introduced to several friends and contacts. And Alex, since we spoke last, sorry, I'm trying to do something on the screen, and multitasking is not a great thing for me. Since we spoke last, you've been published. You are now published author on the Gooner fanzine. You've done a couple of articles. The first one was, which we will talk about tonight, the 4 talking points after the game. And the other one, if that comes on, let me see, was just about Emil Smith Rowe, which we'll talk about as well. How does it feel to see your name on in type on there?
Very nice. I'm happy you introduced me to Leith, who's a brilliant guy, and he's helped me out, giving me this platform to do a bit of work on doing some articles about the Arsenal. So I look forward to doing more stuff, and it was really great doing it sort of live during the game. It's really good practice for what I'm trying to do. So we'll see what comes in the future.
And Trevor, you met up with some really good old friends at the Canal House. There was Andy, there was Simon, there was David Phillips, there was loads. We had a full showing of the Arsenal tattoos, and it was quite. I haven't got the photo on here. I can get it on if you want, but
I don't mind if you put it on, Ferg. I don't mind if you put it on. It's a laughing point.
Get it on.
Do you know what?
I'll get it on in a second.
Dale and myself were there a couple of hours before you boys, weren't we? And
couple.
As I got off the train in Nottingham, I got a whack on the back from the big lad Michael Slater, and Paul Phillips was with him, and then Simon Hunt turned up, and then Dave Phillips turned up, and then Smudger and his lovely wife turned up, and we just got stuck into the beer, and it was the most amazing afternoon in the sunshine, having a laugh. Even one of my old Nottingham Forest mates, his son turned up and joined us for a beer or two. It was just a perfect afternoon. It really was a perfect afternoon, apart from the football. And I don't care now about the football. Just I remember the good times, and it was wonderful. Oh my Lord! Oh my Lord! I've washed that off now, by the way.
It was the songs that went with those images, and there's an image of Andy Smith's Arsenal. His whole back has got the old Arsenal crest, the real crest. You got Simon with the Arsenal cannon with the old script, and you've got the very same between your tits, basically. And you even highlighted your tits by hanging a medal in it, and I just thought that was really nice. It was a nice touch to hang a medal between your tits.
That was my lucky charm, but I haven't got to wear it anymore now, have I? You know, that's safely all the way now. Yeah. But those lads I've known a good while, and they're great lads. So I love their company as much as I love all of you boys' company. And I don't know how many I had. I think I had 2 beers in that boozer because it was flowing freely, wasn't it?
I think you might have gone 2.5, Trev, because you were.
I think we had
never
3 lots of 2, Trev. I think before the guys turned up.
Did we? Oh no, because I said I wasn't counting until kickoff time, so I was safe.
There you go.
It was,
well, we actually felt that we were probably a man down. We didn't even know if you'd make the ground because you were with the lads, and we wanted to grab a burger or something. That was just starving, and we took a walk, just a short walk, Dale? It's about a half-hour walk from the city centre near the station and everything else up to the stadium, and we'd done this little video, which we tried to get to Sophie on Highbury Squad, but it didn't go. Let's have a look.
And down. But we've gained another.
We've gained another. Dale's with us.
I'm looking for Uncle Ferg. Any ideas? There he is, Uncle Ferg.
Oh, you can go off, people, can't you? Listen, we're literally about to cross the Trent Bridge into the city ground. It's been... we got up late, so not really drinking that much, and a bit more sober than normal, aren't we, Dan?
Yeah, we are. But we're enjoying a nice beer in the sun. It's been a nice day so far. We're here coming in for the 3 points, and we're playing for pride. We might not be playing for anything else. I know mathematically it's not done, but let's be honest, we're playing for the badge, up the Arsenal, and here for 3 points.
And listen, it was really nice. We were just chatting on the way up to some Forest fans, and they were really magnanimous and very complimentary of Arsenal and the achievements that they've got this season. What did you make of what they thought?
Hospitable place, and you know, there's a misconception about football fans, right? And everyone has to be angry and at each other and knuckle dragging. They're not like that. The majority of fans, either are we, some are, but the majority are not. And it's nice to come here and see fans that are just basically the same as us. You know, everywhere we go, exactly the same.
Dale,
First away day in a long time. How are you enjoying it? You've been out with Trevor earlier. He's a man down, isn't he? Will he make the game?
I'm surprised I made it. We're going to 1:30, but you know what? For me, it's my first away game of the season. It's refreshing to see both sets of fans getting together, having a laugh, having a beers at Pole here.
Okay, it's down here by the river. Come on.
Yeah, we're going. But it's refreshing to see two sets of fans getting together, having a drink, having a laugh. Honestly, incredible. Thank
And
you.
listen, and what a glorious day. Look at the river. River Trev.
Lovely.
Yeah. Right, listen, we'll do a podcast on Monday night. You maybe join us, I don't know. We'll have to check see what people are doing or if you're around. Score results, score prediction. I'm going tight, 2-1. 2-1 Arsenal. I said tight as well, so I think it's going to be a tough game, but I'll go 2-1 Arsenal. But more than anything,
How about you, Trev?
stay and support the club. Doesn't matter what's happened, support them, and we go again next year.
We go again. What's your score prediction?
My score prediction, 5-0.
Yeah, it's the Arsenal, fuck the Spurs.
5-0 was a little bit ambitious by me. You know what? I did have a feeling that we might go there because mathematically we're still in the game. I've got a video we'll show in a little bit at the end, which is Dan just sent through to me, which is quite funny, which is of all the tattoos. But I just thought that Arteta had said previously in the week that we are mathematically still in this race, whilst we probably know we're not going to win the race. I thought they would have done a bit better. Going to the game, Arsenal, we'd faced a team who had 15 games without a clean sheet. They'd gone through 4 distinct phases. They'd got 4 points for the first 8 games, 20 from the next 13 games. 3 from 11, followed by 10 from 5. So they had a really mixed season. They were in a relegation battle. And I was just a little bit confused. Alex, I'll come to you first on the lineup. So we saw the lineup when it first came out. And I know when we were talking just before we done that video, we saw that Xhaka was on the pitch and we thought he was going to be a left back. We got White, Gabriel, Kivior, Jorginho, Partey, Odegaard, Saka, Trossard, Jesus, and clearly Ramsdale in goal. Did you think that Xhaka was going to play left back and that Ben White was going to go right back and that it was going to be Kivior and Gabriel in the centre?
Yeah, I think everyone was trying to figure out how we were going to set up when the game started. But I mean, we've seen Pep Guardiola sort of transition from using more traditional attacking fullbacks in Cancelo and the likes of Zinchenko, who inverts more in. He's transitioned from using them to using more central defenders in the fullback role. So I figured that might have been what he was trying to do, Arteta, for this game. So my first thought was that he was going to put Kiwior at left back and then get Partey down on the right back and play sort of the same role as John Stones is playing for City, and then it will push Ben White and Ben White in as his usual spot he played last year in centre back, and then Gabriel.
You actually that's what you thought when you saw the lineup?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Oh wow!
Honestly,
because
yeah.
Dan, we didn't think that when we saw it. We thought Ben White stays right back. Xhaka's dropped left back rather than Tierney, and I thought Kivior and Gabriel. Isn't that what you thought?
Yeah, I mean he's done it a few times with Xhaka at left back, hasn't he? So I think that was the more obvious sort of role. But I think he tried a few things out, but in terms of players and positions. But I don't think the system changed. The system's been the same all season, right? It's been Zinchenko that comes inside, or this time with maybe Partey, or it's different personnel, maybe on the right instead of the left, but it's the same system. Look, I think ultimately he was trying to see what happens. I think if there's a couple of injuries and we're absolutely stuffed, who can play where? And I think maybe it's showed that it's not gonna work. I think Ben White has done fantastic at right back and should stay there.
Dale, your thoughts on what you thought when you saw the lineup and subsequent lineup? personally, I thought if Xhaka is playing that left back role, probably over Kieran Tierney, is because he can play that inverted role that Zinni does, where Tierney, you could see clearly at West Ham, couldn't do that role.
Agreed. I mean, that was my first question, really. My first question was, where's Tierney? I thought it was an obvious one for me. I really did. Is a guy who we don't really want to leave. And the question I asked myself, and I ask myself it now, is, regardless of what he was trying, is he preparing for life without Tierney? Is that why he's looking to kind of make these changes? Tierney must have thought, surely when Zinni got injured, then he's going to get some more game time. And I think we all thought the same thing. So to see him on the bench again, for me, was a strong indicator. We're probably going to lose him, in all honesty, which I'll be sad about. But that was my first question, was is he preparing for life without Tierney?
Trev, what was your thoughts about the lineup, and more so the experiment? We're not going to go through line by line the whole game. We're going to try and talk just generally about it, because the game's done, the league's done. We have to move on. But what was your thoughts about experimenting at this stage? Like I said earlier, mathematically we were still in it. Didn't want to hand the cup or the league to City before they even kicked a ball. Were you pleased with him doing that?
Well, it was a strange one, wasn't it? It was even stranger because I'd had loads of beer and I thought to myself, I'm not seeing something right here when I saw what was going on in the field. For me, it just said to me that Tierney isn't going to be an Arsenal player next season. And the other one that worried me, and we can group them together, is that Smith Rowe's getting absolutely no game time, but he's on the bench every week. So that said to me that Smith Rowe and Tierney aren't going to be Arsenal players next season. I hope I'm wrong, because I like both of them players. I've watched Smith Rowe transform himself from the juniors into a senior Arsenal player, come through the club. And I think Tierney's probably the best proper left back in the league. By that I mean playing as a proper left back role. So yeah, I'm a bit sad about not seeing either of them start the game, because I thought they both had a chance. As for the rest of it, Ferg, it just made me think, what's going on here? Right? I know you don't want to spend long on the game, so if you don't mind, I'll move it forward a stage.
Trev, we will cover the game. I want to talk about the goal, and I want to talk just about some of the stuff that went on in the game, like the tactics and substitutions and stuff like that. But so don't just brush over the whole thing. But we're not going to go into the detail as we've done previously.
Right. Okay. It was a crap game.
No. Do you want to say what you were going to say, or?
I just couldn't work out where the last two performances have come from, because the football that put us top of the league and made us such an exciting team to watch and support was our front players destroying teams and making loads and loads of chances of finding place. And I've seen it dropping off the last couple of games, but the game against Forest, I saw a complete turnaround. I saw us we spoke about it before we came on here. We had loads and loads and loads of possession. We comfortably held the ball at the back. We comfortably moved the ball into midfield. But all we did was knock it left and right, left and right, left and right in midfield. I can't remember, I may be wrong, but I can't remember one penetrating pass up to our forward players. I don't think Trossard got a pass all game. That confused me greatly. Jesus ran around and worked his socks off, but I've got a question mark starting to come. And Saka looked shattered. So it just turned itself on its head for me. We're all right at the back. We're all right in midfield. Can't score a goal against Forest, who have let loads in. Hadn't kept a clean sheet for months. That was a bit worrying.
Alex, you sent me a photo. What am I doing with this photo then? It's just to show the average positioning of our team in the first half, and it kind of shows how the players sort of got in the way of each other, and they seemed a bit confused about where they were sort of trying to play at, because you can tell how overloaded we are on the right hand side, and it just shows we didn't really utilize the left hand side at all.
Okay. I'll talk to Dan on that, because we were all together at the game. I also noted that at the game, because I only had a couple of pints because I was driving, and it's amazing what you pick up. I noticed that the pitch seemed to be at least a foot narrower on either side than it would normally be, and they bunched us and pushed us into the centre an awful lot more. We've had a few chances throughout the game. Just let's talk about the goal that conceded, because that after that point, then we can go into more details. But the goal came from our captain, a great pass by our captain, but unfortunately the wrong way. Let's have a quick watch.
Either side, and Wonyi scores yet again. Taiwo Wonyi is in.
So Awonyi gets the goal. Gibbs White and Awonyi together absolutely petrified Arteta and our defence. They bullied us a lot. And Trevor talked about Trossard not getting a kick of the ball. And Dan and I talked about it on the day, and I actually just mentioned about the left-hand side of the pitch. There was no outlet on the left-hand side of the pitch. Dan, explain your thoughts on that, because I know what you're going to say, but go on.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite funny seeing that picture, because the first time I've seen it, but it's exactly what we said at the game, right? Is that I was surprised with the subs in that Trossard plays very, very well when he comes inside and he links with people and then he switches positions. But against a side like Forest, where they're going to sit in with their banks, sit in quite narrow pitch, you've got to stretch them. And for me, the whole game, I was saying it was crying out for someone like Reece Nelson to come on and just stay wide, stretch the pitch, and done what he's done as an impact sub the last few games. And I actually think Nelson's done quite well when he's come on the last few games, and he's created opportunities, and he does play that traditional winger role a lot better than what Trossard does. Now, don't get me wrong, Trossard's a fantastic player, but I think there's a time and a place for that sort of kind of player on the left-hand side. And people saying about Smith Rowe and why doesn't he get more game time? I've said this a few times. I don't think he's a central player. I don't think he's going to be good enough to take that role of Odegaard. But what he is a player that plays on the left-hand side and comes inside. But this was definitely not the game for him to be coming into, because he's going to do the exact same thing as what Trossard does and have to it. I would argue that I don't think we got bullied by their two up top. I think we got bullied by their four at the back as opposed to up top. But we were playing this straight ball into Jesus, and ultimately I do agree with you, Trev, that I think it come off that Jesus didn't have a great game, but I don't think we gave him a chance. We were playing a straight ball into him to try and hold it up against what is a very, very strong back four. And what we needed was just an option. This isn't that Gabriel Jesus isn't good enough. I think he's absolutely good enough. But again, I've said a few times on here, I think he's the backup for Saka on the right-hand side, or he's a backup to come in up top for another striker. But when you're playing a physical team, you just need an option. You need a target man. You need someone that can hold the ball and bounce it off of. Because if not, you're not going to break down this team. And it just shows where we are, right? We're a very, very good side, but we have room to grow. The only thing I would argue with about that target man is City last year didn't have a target man, and they broke down teams like this a lot better than we do. What they do is move the ball quicker, stay wide, stretch the pitch, and I think that's where we need to also get to go.
But I think that the Forest narrowed the pitch as well and everything else. Dale, I know you're limited on time. Just give us your thoughts.
Yeah, I think Dan's bang on there. Seeing that graphic as well, that was quite interesting. For me, I look at that left-hand side. You needed somebody like a Nelson to sit there. We because we didn't have anybody out there, we allowed them to dictate the play. That sounds daft considering we had 82% possession, but they squeezed us. We gave them the space to do that to us. Whereas if you leave someone like a Nelson out, and again, I think it highlights it's great in hindsight, but Tierney and Nelson on that left-hand side give us a completely different dynamic. None of those two really cut inside. They utilised the width of the pitch, and I think in that game, in hindsight, we had to do that, and it was disappointing. It was really disappointing. Part of me thinks that I wouldn't say the players had given up, so I don't think any of them are like that. But I think they accepted the fact we were probably going to finish second. So were people going in 100% every time or giving it 100%? I'm not entirely sure. That's a different conversation altogether. But one thing I will say before I shoot off is massive credit to the Forest fans. That place was electric, as you heard,
wasn't it?
My God, yeah. I mean, I don't know how it sounded on the TV or anything, but anybody who was there on Saturday will turn around and tell you just how loud that place was. You could not. It was
very loud on the TV as well. It was very loud. Was
unbelievable. The Forest fans were fantastic, and I think they call it the 12th man, and I think that really made a difference on Saturday.
Nearly as good as 5 and 6.
Not quite. Nearly.
I tell you what I did like as a really nice touch at the beginning. I've got a picture of. Have I got the picture? I don't. Got a picture of they had their flag coming down, but they had, on the top of their main stand, Arsenal gave them our red shirts back in God knows when. Look at the history podcast we done a couple of summers back, and you'll find out the exact time. But they actually thanked us for the shirts, which I thought was a nice touch. I will get a video up of.
Is that not the opposite way around?
They gave us the shirt.
Oh right, okay, yeah. You know what I'm like. Go on, Trev. Dan, Del, before.
Go on, go.
If you need to, if you got to go, mate, thank you very much. It was brilliant seeing you on on an away day. Sadly, you can't make it for the Wolves game, but the rest of us will raise a glass and thank you for your company over the season and look forward to next season. And remember, we're doing a phone in on June the 5th, which is the Monday I get back from Budapest because I'm still going. Just join us on that one as well and have your say on what you think of the season.
Of course. Been a pleasure, guys. Thanks so much. You have a great evening.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Take it easy, mate. Cheers.
All right. Look, wow.
Oh, God, I'm on the left-hand side. That's not great. That's
better.
There we go. Yeah.
So many points in that 4 or 5 minute segment there. It filled my head up. But it's just sort of, it's interesting to listen because it's just filled my head up really with more questions about how that happened. Yep, the Forest fans were amazing. They needed to win the game. They needed to lift their side, and they did just that. There was a 20-minute period in the second half where the Arsenal fans did not stop chanting, and we couldn't hardly make ourselves heard. They were that good, the Forest fans. But going back to the players on the field, it's really interesting because at the end of the day, if you look at a bigger picture, at the end of the day, it's an Arsenal team that was scoring goals for fun, playing a Forest side that were letting in goals for fun. And overnight, it's flipped the coin right on its head. Now, that shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen. And I agree with Dan. It's absolutely shown areas where we need to improve. It's just shown it towards the end of the season. Maybe not improve, but have better backup to come in to cover it. You know what I mean? So maybe improvement is the wrong word. Maybe we need more depth. Yeah. I can't leave it. I've got to ask you again, boys. Smith Rowe, it don't matter what we say about positioning wise. If we're going to go down the road of Arsenal didn't have a lot to play for and Forest did, if we take that approach, which I don't know if that's right or wrong, and that's the reason, surely that's the game to give Smith Rowe game time. You know, you can shift it around. Look at the lineup he's put out. He shifted it around all game. And, you know, and then we look at the lad, and it worries me greatly that we're going to lose Smith Rowe and Tierney because they're two great actors. I'm not going to dwell on it anymore, Ferg. I'm sorry, mate. But
to be honest, you're not far off because one of the comments I put down here, Tony Adams was asked in the studio on one TV program at halftime, what would he do? And he said, get Emil on. He can open doors. But he hasn't really been in his groove this season. And I think that's because he's not had enough playtime. I would have definitely considered bringing Smith Rowe on to open up. You know, maybe you could take Trossard off, or I don't know, drop Xhaka back, brought Partey up into the midfield because Partey as well. If we look at Partey and Saka didn't work, and I remember and recall thinking at Villa the way I used to see Ben White, Odegaard, and Saka working together. Dan, we talked about it previously. Why put Partey there? And it just didn't work with Saka. And the frustration was obvious to see. He was shaking his head. Arteta was telling him off. Everything.
I think ultimately this was a bit of an experiment, right? Partey has played there before for Atletico. I think it was Arteta seeing what can he do if he needed to at some point next season. And I think that's also the reason why Smith Rowe didn't play and Tierney didn't play. As Dale said, I think it's a bit of planning for next season. And I'd say it's a shame when you have young players come through the academy that get into the first team and don't quite make it. but I think that's a reality, right? And I genuinely don't believe that they are both good enough to be in the starting 11 in this system. They're good enough to be in the starting 11 in a different system, but not how Arteta wants us to play. And I think we have to think of it as a positive that we're not going to no longer shove round pegs and square holes or whatever they say. We have a system, we have a way we're going to play, and we're going to bring in players that suit that system. And over that period, you are going to be losing players that you get attached to, that you like, that you think are good enough, but ultimately, I think Arteta doesn't fancy them. I think there's also rumours of falling out behind the scenes with Smith Rowe, and it wouldn't surprise me. So, I think there's a lot that we need to consider with that. But look, if we sell him and we get some money for him and we reinvest it, I think we've only got to trust the club on their recruitment over the last couple of years.
Alex, you pointed out in your article in the Gooner fanzine about Partey and Smith Rowe, and if you can, your first two talking points that you talked about, the first one was the Partey switch, and I think Dan alluded to it. He played in that position for Atletico, but why would we be putting him in that position? Is there any reason why we'd be are we trying to accommodate some future plans?
I think Dan is right in saying like he might be trying to plan for what we're trying to do next season, and I think we all know we're trying to bring in some new midfielders, especially Declan Rice seems to be our number one priority to be getting in, and you never know, he might be trying to see if that playing Partey at right back in the same sort of role as John Stone has been playing would be a way to accommodate both him and Declan Rice in the same lineup. But yeah, it's difficult to tell. But regarding Smith Rowe, it's difficult to. It's only a year ago since he scored 10 goals in the Premier League for us and was one of our best players last year. So it's just it's sad to see this sort of, I don't know if I'd call it downfall, but he's been injured a lot and he just never seemed to get back into his rhythm that he was in last season. Thinking back of last season, he scored some incredible goals and he was him and Saka was probably our two best players last year. So I think it would be gutting for him to see him go. For me, he's really like this the symbol of the rise of the new Arsenal after Arteta took over. So I think it would be difficult for a lot of fans to see him go. He's a Haaland boy as well. But as Dan said, I trust the club too. So we never know what's going on behind the scenes. There might be more going on. So I would trust the club if he was to leave and try new things on. But it would be gutting to see him go.
Trev?
Look, right. I can't leave this with Smith Rowe because I do disagree with you boys a bit, right? I know he's not had a chance since he was injured, but when you're talking about positional play and where they play, when he was fit and when he was breaking into the side and when he was looking amazing, you look at how he scored his goals, Smith Rowe. He managed to get in the box and find a yard, and he'd sweep the ball into the net for a lot of his goals. In a crowded penalty box, he'd find a yard. And that was exactly what we were lacking at the weekend. So I'm thinking maybe he just doesn't trust his fitness yet and he's not going to let him go. He's not going to let him have the game time. But then why put him on the bench? But you look at all of Smith Rowe's goals and he finds a yard in a crowded penalty area. And that's what we were lacking. And while we're talking about City, it's really interesting you say that, boys, because it crossed my mind today. Yeah, City are playing these people at the back and opening it up a bit more. But don't forget, City have changed their whole game plan this year to suit one player, to suit Erling Haaland, right? They've gone from having the kind of forward line we've got at the moment to having this great big target man. And they've changed it. And maybe that's part of why they're winning every game, because teams are not expecting them to do that. And maybe that's why on the reverse side, we've started not getting the results we wanted. The teams know that we've only got the one game plan at the moment. And that points me towards a big summer signing or two or three, you know?
Trev, like that game plan is down to one man and it's down to Mikel Arteta. And I'm not one for criticising the guy because I think the guy's done great with how he's re-engaged with the fan base. He's re-engaged with the players that he's got playing for us want to play for us. The players that he's got playing for us want to play for him. But I do question. I have done it before 2 or 3 times this season. I question his tactics and positional play of against Forest. But Nketiah for Jorginho, Tierney for Xhaka, Fabio for Trossard.
Look. Let's not give people a false impression here. For me, when I'm saying this, what I'm saying tonight, right? I'm speaking honestly. I trust Arteta, and people know that. I say it every week. I think Arteta's quite possibly the best young manager in the world, right? Who's learning his trade still. And he's got possibly the best young squad in the world. And I think that we've been found out towards the end of the season. But what we're doing tonight, Ferg, is we're doing what we always do and what we always do well. We're reflecting on a bad performance, and we're not afraid to find some faults and say what we think, but we're not actually calling anyone out badly, are we? And that's what we're good at, mate. We are all ever so entitled. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, but it's the way you put that opinion across. If you structure it like we always do, then that's fine. So I think that we had a bad game an awful game at the weekend. We can all find people to blame, but like you just said, mate, if you look at the bigger picture, we've got a great developing squad. We've got a great developing manager. The summer should see us take another step forward, and come back stronger next season. We ain't going to be no weaker, So, yeah, that's where I am anyway, mate.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with a little bit of what you said, Ferg, but I also think it's a bit unfair on Arteta in all fairness, right? I think I agree with the fact that he's a young manager and he's going to make mistakes and he's learning just as any of the young players are. But ultimately, we have a squad of, if you're talking about probably top quality players, a squad of 13 or 14. City have got a squad of 20 to 22 top class talents. And they've got the flexibility to make changes and to adapt systems and to change how they play, and even how they adapted to Haaland this season. I don't think it's just about adapting to Haaland. They had players that were causing problems as well. The likes of Cancelo playing high on the right and not working quite well with Mahrez, and they switched that with Ake coming in, but they can bring in top quality players to completely change the system. We haven't got that yet, ultimately, and we're talking about still good players coming in, but not players that are going to go and win you a league title or a Champions League. And this is why I feel like if players like, I'll give you an example, Smith Rowe wants to leave because he feels like he's not getting enough game time, I'd say, okay, fair enough. Like, see you later and thanks very much. Like, no hard feelings, but we can't have players demanding to play.
I think they changed
coming up the level.
I think they changed the game plan for Haaland, but I also think they changed their game plan a little bit for Arsenal because I do think they brought that young lad in. What's his the midfield?
Rico Lewis.
Yeah, they brought Rico Lewis in and changed, and Cancelo got booted out to Bayern Munich on loan, and that was all to change the formation to deal with the likes of what we were given against them, plus accommodate Haaland.
Yeah, there's a part of that, but there's also the fact that the main change that they actually had was before you had a centre half dropping into midfield, someone else staying out wide, and then you had Cancelo, which was actually initially on the left, would cut inside and put balls in. Whereas this now would change to Mahrez staying high and wide, and the defence being closer to their natural position when they ultimately lose the ball in transition. So I think a lot of it is Pep also learned a lot from Arteta. So I think, to say Arteta got things wrong, he's going to get things wrong, and I think it's inevitable. But I think Pep will admit he learns regularly lots from Arteta. So I don't know. For me, there's a lot of positives, but there's a massive room to grow, and that will be seen in the next 2 or 3 windows where I hope we bring in some top quality players. And it is, without sounding like another cliche back at the beginning of the season, it's a process.
I'm absolutely. Go on, I'm coming to you as well, Alex. Yeah, I agree with you. It's 100%. Alex, go.
No, I was just going to say, I'm curious to see how. I think we can all agree that the biggest problem we've had defensively has been how we've dealt with Zinchenko in our defense, because it's pretty clear to see that a lot of teams are attacking us down our left-hand side of the defense. So I'm curious to see how Arteta will develop our tactics next season to sort of cover that thing, because it has been we've been really poor defensively the last 10-15 games towards the end of the season. We've let in a lot of goals, and it's partly down to Saliba not being fit and ready and in the team, but we still need to figure out how to play with Zinchenko in the team, because I think he's good enough to play in the team, but we just have to find the proper role for him, because it hasn't worked out throughout the whole season. So I don't know what your guys' take is on that one, and what do you think we should do?
Trev, we had 81, 82%, depending on where you're looking at possession in that game against Forest. You look at the last 8 games, we only won 2 after the last 8. We lost 3, drew 3, and City went on a run. One of Alex's talking points on his blog on the Gooner was, we need a strong up front presence. And we saw that, especially at Forest. Jesus, his work rate isn't in question. We just need better.
It ties together nicely with the possession statistics, doesn't it? Because let's get things right. Let's put it straight, okay? That wasn't an unlucky loss at Forest. We weren't penetrating and hitting crossbars and making the goalkeepers make saves and coming close. We didn't create at all. And it worries me, if I'm honest. It really worries me. And so then it moves on to what's next. I think that Jesus has been found out a bit towards the end of the season. I think probably all our front players have been found out a little bit, and teams are now playing us accordingly. That is why, as Alex just said, we need to be able to change the look of our front line, not just over the course of 3 or 4 games, but at the click of a finger. We need Arteta to be able to turn around, look at his bench and say, right, I need to change this. I need to change the way we play. I need to move the focus. And I don't think we can do that in a minute. Well, I know we can't do it because Eddie huffs and puffs, but Eddie doesn't change the perspective of how we play, right? So I've said it before and I'll say it again. Arteta probably hasn't had a chance to sign someone big and clumsy and dangerous up front because, as Arteta has said, rightfully so, he will not buy players that don't improve our team. And I support that all the way, right? But from my perspective, looking at what happened at the weekend, we need to be able to bring someone on that changes the outlook of our forward play. We don't have that. We don't have it.
We had a debate, and it got a little bit more than a debate on our WhatsApp group about Eddie and I was just toying. Eddie Nketiah clearly not good enough. Sorry, don't start me, Trev.
Do you know my old ticket can't take much more of this? Right, move on.
Eddie Nketiah clearly isn't good enough as a forward line man.
Right.
Let's look at Balogun. Balogun is the first American player. Okay, he's claimed to be American now, but the first American player to get 20 goals in a single season in one of the top 5 European leagues. That league being Ligue 1 in France. Trevor, I'll go to you first on this occasion. Do you see, we saw Balogun and Eddie playing at Brentford, not this season, last season, first game of the season, and they were pretty poor. Yeah. He's had that time in France. Yeah. Would you give him a go in the Premier League?
For once in my life, I'll be really quick, Ferg. Balogun scored all them goals in the French league, but Lacazette scored more. Right, that sort of gives you a perspective on the level of play. Having said that, we did see Balogun get a chance or two at the start of last season, didn't we? And he was non-existent. But 2 years further on, if you said to me tomorrow, you've got to give Eddie a run out or you've got to give Balogun a run out, I'd put the lad Balogun in because we've seen what Eddie can do. God, I don't want to feel like I'm getting on his back. I'm not getting on his back. I love his efforts, but we want to win the league. So we've got to change things. I would put Balogun in over Eddie tomorrow. No danger. See what he can do. See what he's learned.
Alex, because I'm not going to get any reason out of Dan. I'll ask you on that.
I've actually got a really reasonable point, but never mind.
We'll come to you in a second, Alex.
I think it's a valid point that Trev made about the French league and the level of it, but you can make the counter argument that young Saliba went there and played 2 very good seasons and came back and was the best defender in the league. So it can go both ways, and it's difficult to. It doesn't always translate from the League One to the Premier League, but I think I'd like to give him a chance, especially if he was to move Jesus out to the right hand side and challenge Saka for his place. I think it would make sense to keep Balogun and then still get another striker, a big striker that can, as Trev said, change the course of the game. Someone we could bring in from the bench and switch up the tactics. And very good point that Andrew made in the comments as well. We have 5 substitutions available in each game, so I think it's important that we need someone on the bench. And we need people on the bench who can change the course of the game. Right now, we've got very similar players in profile. Bringing Eddie on doesn't change much to Jesus up front. Bringing on Trossard doesn't really change too much. So I think we really need to switch up the profiles in our team, especially in the front line. But I'll still keep Balogun.
Dan?
Yeah, it's interesting because, to be honest, we did have a really good debate in the chat. Obviously, you wouldn't know, Fergus, because you didn't read half the comments, but we actually had a really good debate in the chat.
Don't pick on the fact that he's dyslexic.
Stop picking on the raw Fergus. Now then, knock it on the head, young Danny, my son.
I've actually got a good point. But what we've seen in previous years, for example, right, Saliba, he came in pre-season and he proved Arteta wrong, okay? So there is always an opportunity for players to come in and prove the manager wrong and say, I want my chance. Saliba, Arteta admits, came in and he said, no, we have to get this guy in the team and we have to accommodate him. If Balogun comes in pre-season and smashes it, he'll get his chance. But ultimately, if he doesn't smash it in pre-season, I'd have absolutely no problem selling him and saying, no, we're going to go out and buy someone.
What you talking shit for?
You knew that was coming.
Oh, well. What did you make on the group chat, Ferg?
I didn't read it. I got past the first sentence. And to be honest, I was just being playful and toying with the person who's a really nice guy. But yeah,
but Uncle Ferg's not nice. Honestly, really,
no, he's
really
not a nice guy. Listen, before we finish up with the Forest game, I want to show you the reaction. Well, the view that we had. Well, no view because the sun was in our eyes. And 2, what's happened there? And 2, the reaction of and the noise in the City ground. It was really noisy, Trev.
That's
it was
a good song
wow.
as well.
It was a wow. It was a wow moment. Honestly, I left there and at half time we went outside and met up with Trev and Dale and that. And I said to Dan, actually, I said it's like walking out of a disco when I was young. And he went, "Oh, I don't remember. We didn't have those back then." But your ears were ringing, absolutely ringing with the noise, Trev.
They were absolutely fantastic. I mean, got to remember, it's their first season back in the Premier League for many, many years.
26 years.
Desperate to get back in the Premier League. And now they're desperate to stay in there because they've had a great season. The Forest fans enjoying playing Premier League football. And they were going to be the 12th man at the weekend, whether we liked it or whether we didn't. And I have lots of praise for Newcastle fans. I love the way Newcastle fans make noise. But I'm telling you now, for nothing, I was at Newcastle the week before and I was in Forest at the weekend. And then 26,000 Forest fans that were in that ground, made more noise than Newcastle did. My ears were ringing from start to finish. And the Arsenal fans were good. There was a stage in the second half for about, I said it earlier and I'm going to say it again. There was a stage in that second half for about 20 minutes when the Arsenal fans just did not stop chanting. Yep, we saw Ben, didn't we, up there? 20 minutes, the Arsenal fans were at it. But you could hardly make yourself heard. Those Forest fans were so good, and I applaud their efforts, and I'm glad they're not going down.
Yeah, just a small point to add. I agree with you fully, Trevor. I think Forest is like a club with lots of class, rich history. We know the pedigree in Europe, and it's just nice to see when you see all the teams in the Premier League. A lot of teams, they've got betting shirt sponsors and crappy sponsors all over the place, and then you see Forest, they've just got the UN refugee agency as their shirt sponsor on the shirt. So it's just a very classy club. So I was gutted that we lost the game, but I'm happy a team like Forest can stay in the league for another year.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Ferg, we touched on it in the video you played earlier, but we had to walk down from the pub to the ground, and I don't think we've seen anything to disagree with that. There are good fans still around, and it's good to see good clubs, I think, stay up, because ultimately that we're all the same. We all support our club and we all go for the same reason. So, there's a comment in the chat about rather Forest than Leeds, and I couldn't agree more.
To be honest, Leeds and Manchester United are the two places that I didn't feel welcome as a football fan. Leeds, because they were just the dirty Leeds. And there's another word that goes in there as well. Man United, just because they felt false and fake. There was just something not nice about them. I don't rate City as the core support I get, but there's just so many hangers on. Chelsea's not great either, but yeah. Forest, we felt it when we were at the Trent Navigation for the FA Cup, Trev. It was quite a mixed crowd, and we stood there sitting, chatting, and having a proper football debate with a football-loving town.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a good set of fans. Are Forest. I like their company. I know a lot of Forest fans because the area of the country I live, there's lots of Forest fans here, and it was a
lot on your train home as well, wasn't there?
It was an interesting train journey home at the weekend, but it was all good-hearted. There was no threats to all that, and unlike Leeds, I mean, I think Leeds must think that London is just full of financial institutions, because all the time when I'm ever in Leeds, they keep calling me a Cockney banker. Well, at least I think that's what they're saying. And so, they're a bit threatening. I don't get on with them very well at all.
They even called me a Cockney.
Oh God, that's an insult.
Yeah.
Right,
listen. After the game, Arteta, he wasn't in great form. Let's have a listen.
Your team have been brilliant, but we know now that City are champions. What are your reflections in this moment?
Well, first of all, congratulations to City for winning the championship, and obviously a really sad day for us after everything that we've done in this season. But now we have to face the reality, and today we gave a goal away, a huge chance away as well that we gave them, and we weren't good enough to break them down. We could have played here 3 hours and have this feeling that we didn't have enough.
True. There's 7 minutes added on. It could have been 70.
He's honest. He's honest as they come. He's our manager, and I'm proud of him for it. He
cares. You can tell he cares.
He cares about what happens on the field, and he cares about the fans, and he cares about the football club. And I'm over the moon with him. I know we've pulled it apart really tonight, haven't we? But we all still love Arteta, don't we? We know what we've got. I think we know what we've got. We just got to make it work, and we'll improve again.
We've got Super Mick Arteta.
Fergus, my old mate. We've had a couple of questions coming. Is it time to have a quick look at them now, mate?
Just before we do that, I thought before we finish up on the game itself, and we look at the questions, we've met Ramsdale's dad, all of us have over the period of time, over the season, over the last couple of seasons, and he thanked fans for making his dad so welcome and his family so welcome and a superhero. I think the guy gets the club. Watch this, listen to this.
All the hard work over months has obviously come to an end today, so that's really difficult. We just couldn't find a way through today. Credit Forest, they know what they needed to do. They got that goal and defended really well, and we just struggled to break that down. And yeah, it's just a disappointing day, disappointing end.
Is it worth saying? Does it need saying though that you've pushed an immense team, maybe one of the best ever Premier League teams, really hard?
Yeah, we know that. Deep down, we know what we've achieved. And I think when the dust settles, we'll be proud. But it's just the way it's happened, which is a similar taste to last year as well. But so this is another learning curve for us. But yeah, I think when we look back, it'll be a season to be proud of for Arsenal Football Club, and one we'll be proud of as players as well.
Who wants to follow on?
Well, I was going to say it's a massive thing to have people like that in a club that I think just get the club, and I think you can near enough explain what happened on the weekend, because players like that, for example, I can imagine feel very much similar to how we feel, and they're going to have been excited, nervous, and gone through all the same emotions that we have, and now feel flat as hell. And as much as they're professional and go out there and give it their all, they might be 3, 4, 5% off, and you're playing against a Forest side that are putting in an extra 3, 4, 5% because they're absolutely going to try and stay up. And it just creates a difference like that. And, you know, we're talking about top level football in the Premier League, and fine margins make a difference. But what I am pleased with is I think players like that do get it will pick it up and go again next year.
Mm.
Yeah. It's that it is an interview like that is a massive sign of the improvement within our club. We've seen the improvement off the field with the fans, but that's a massive sign of the improvement within the playing staff of our football club, because you go back to the lows and our players don't speak to us like that. They don't have it in them to come and speak to us like that. And when you start hearing players talking like that, it sort of puts a bad performance like the weekend into perspective. You know, you can take it easier, can't you? Because they're trying. Something was drastically wrong. But that interview makes me feel good, and I know that runs throughout the squad. And this is the start, isn't it?
Alex, your thoughts on that, and then we'll do these questions.
Yeah, I mean, in regards to Ramsdale, I just pretty much agree. And I don't know if you've seen his the video they put out with the contract extension. I don't know if you've seen that video, but it just it just shows both him and his family. They've really just settled down in the club. And I mean, apart from his accent, you could think he was a Highland boy. He just, as you've said, he gets the club and he gets the values of the club. And he just shows he cares. And he, as Dan said, it's like he's a fan. So I'm really glad we're able to keep him for an extended number of years, because not only is he a good player, he's a good protector of the values in our club.
It was that Helen that video, his extended contract one, when he said how welcome his family have made him, and made his dad a hero and everything else, and he thanked us very much for that. So we've got a few questions in here then, Trev. You're in charge of the clicker, so away you go.
We go then. Come on, boys. Who's having a go at that?
Oh, I'll definitely take that one. Definitely take it. I had that exact conversation about 2 hours ago in the gym, and my answer was absolutely 100% yes. Don't care that he's 32 years old. He's a proven winner. He's a leader. And you just see what he did for City at the end of this season in the run-in. And he stepped up and scored goals when they needed. And he is the perfect player to play that 8 role, in my opinion. Doesn't have to start every game, but to come in big games, Champions League games, that would be where he earns his money. And I hope if they want to give him a 2-year contract or 3-year contract or whatever that would secure him, go give it to him.
And the experience as well with Xhaka, but he's very likely to leave. I think we'll see him. I think it'll be official before the Wolves game that he'll leave to Leverkusen. So with him leaving, I think we need to add a bit of experience. We don't only need to add the young talent. We need to bring in some players with experience as well to guide us through those tough moments in the season and in the crucial knockout games in the Champions League as well. So I agree with Dan. I'd definitely take him in as well.
Yeah, I'd take him all day long as he's not our star signing, as long as he's been brought in to add depth to the squad all day long. But if you come to me and say our star signing next year is going to be Gundogan, not good enough for me. We want more, we want better. But I'd take him all day long.
I believe he's on a free, so the wages will be high, but his experience, a bit like we did with Jorginho and also Jesus and Zini, what they've added in quality of knowledge, depth, football nous of how to deal with, a title run in, how to deal with, getting knocked back and stuff like that. Like Zini for me has been just outstanding. And if he had lost a leg, I'd still have him in the dressing room because I think he can talk to the players and make them understand what it is to play for Arsenal Football Club. He's playing for the Arsenal and he understands because he understands like we do. Exactly. Great question. Thank you, Ewan.
Yeah, thank you, Ewan. But we don't want him to turn up and think that what is like we had in the past. You're exactly right, Ferg. You absolutely nailed it there, mate. He's got to want to turn up to play for the Arsenal. Then we'll be interested. Now, the next one, Ferg, is more of a statement than a question, but it's really interesting and it's worth giving 30 seconds of our time to, mate. Dow has just messaged us.
Good point, yeah.
We're out of Champions League now. And so that means we move up to pot 2, which changes the outlook of it greatly. It's just worth putting it out there. I don't know if we want to discuss it at all, but it's interesting to see.
It just means we're more likely to get an easier group in the Champions League. So yeah, it's worth noting.
I'd argue that second pot is just as hard, if not harder, than that first pot. I know you say the first pot is a winner. That second pot is tricky.
Yeah, but we're in the second pot, so we will be
good. We're in it.
That's what I'm saying. Like we avoid someone that is very, very tricky. So although a little bit gutted, I really would love a trip away to Dortmund, to be honest. But
listen. I think it's important.
They'll win the Bundesliga, so we might get them. They'll be in pot 1 probably.
Yeah, they could be now. Yeah, it's changed since I last looked at the pot.
Yeah. So it's important though that this young side don't get the first time in the Champions League and get roasted, and then the bottom are back in the Europa League, in my view.
Don't even say it. Don't even say it, fuck.
We need to progress past. I don't think they will, and I think we will buy well and so on. But I think it's important that we progress, and even if we just get to the last 16 and don't get to the quarters, I still think that is a positive move. It shows progression, and we said trust the process. It's now trust the progress.
We need to establish us as a top team in Europe again in the Champions League. So
yes,
I think
absolutely
moving past group stages is one of the most important things, along with getting another spot for next year in the Champions League.
And pot 3 would have meant that there was a huge chance of us not doing that. Trevor,
you're having this conversation too soon, boys. Don't enjoy the qualification until the end of this season. Enjoy the improvement we've made in qualifying for the Champions League for the first time in God knows how many years. This is a great conversation to have, but it's for the start of next season. That's not for now. Let's enjoy what we've done, boys. Absolutely agree with Ferg. Absolutely agree with Alex. But come on, let's enjoy what we've got, boys. We'll talk about where we're going. All right. I've got one more question here. Some Irish blokes stuck a question up and it seems to have generated some interest. So I'll let his Royal Ferguson-esque answer it, really.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. A question to everybody. This season we finished second place and we've qualified for the Champions League. If next season we were to finish in the same position, second, and qualify for the Champions League, would you be happy? And if so, what caveats would, I didn't put this in the question, what caveats would make it acceptable? Alex, I'll go to you first.
I don't think we'll all agree on this one, but as of now, yes, I'd take second next season. And I know I can see Dan shaking his head already, but I just don't think it's realistic that we, through one transfer window, can overtake City, because they're going to improve their squad as well. So realistically, right now, I'd accept I'll accept second place as long as we can push City all the way like we've done this year.
Trevor, we know where Dan is. Let's have your view on it.
I would take fourth from bottom if we won the Champions League. I'm desperate to see my football club win the Champions League. Desperate. I think the league will look after itself next year. I really do think we're going to be good enough for the league to look after itself. And don't forget, the Champions League now is going to make players want to join us. You know what I mean? So it's going to be a really interesting summer. I want to see my great football club win the Champions League in my lifetime, and I'm running out of time. So I want to see us win the Champions League. I can't see us not finishing in the top 2 or 3 of the Football League next season. But obviously, I want us to win it. Of course, I want us to win it. But there's some sides coming through.
Do we agree the question is not do we want to win it, it's do we realistically think we'll win the league?
Dan?
Well, I think I need to clarify that question then. Is the question finish second and qualify for Champions League, or is it finish second and win Champions League?
Basically do what we did this season, which is...
Okay, right. If it's win the Champions League, 100% agree with Trev. But if it's just qualify for the Champions League and finish second like this year, absolutely not. I think we are well on our way to establish ourselves again as a top 4 side and a major player. And I think we will improve and we will buy well. But ultimately, success is winning something. Success is not finishing second and qualifying every year. If you qualify and don't win it, that isn't success. Now, second place is still, whatever way you look at it, first loser. And we've lost the league this year. You have to be a top club, a winner, and have the mentality of I want to go there and I want to win it. And I'm not going to celebrate a second place. I'm absolutely over the moon with the progression of this team, but I'm not going to celebrate a second place. We're here to win. We're the Arsenal, and that's what our history has done, and that's what we need to do in the future.
Okay. It's an interesting point, and it's a really interesting point in that. Let me chuck this one at you, Ferg, right? I love asking you the questions, mate. I honestly think we've shown
take a swig of beer.
We've shown this season that we are a good enough side to win the Premier League. We've already shown it. We've just not carried the form on for the 3 or 4 games that we needed to at the end of the season. You know, we've shown that we're good enough. We've just got to get that little bit extra, and I'm sure we'll get it next season. Whether the Champions League will be a help or a hindrance to us winning the Premier League, who knows? But you've got to be in it to win it, boys.
Was there a question in there? Because you said you were going to ask me one.
Yeah, I can't remember now what it was. Yeah, do you think that we are already good enough to win the Premier League and we've just got to add a bit more depth?
No, I think if we'd won the Premier League this season, whilst it would have been wonderful, I think it would have been helped along by other teams that haven't been as good. The likes of Liverpool haven't been as good. Chelsea are a basket case. Newcastle will come back in and be stronger next season, although Champions League might take their attention away from the Premier League. I would have been delighted. I think there's part of me now that wants Pep Guardiola to win the Champions League and go, my work here is done, and then piss off away from Man City, because whilst he's at Man City, I think we will struggle. Any team will struggle to try and grasp the Premier League away from us, from them. As for Arsenal, would I accept second and Champions League qualification? A bit what Lyle said. We need to win a trophy, be it the League Cup.
Yeah, I agree. I think that'll be important to win something next year.
Stay on the subject, folks. Stay on the subject. How does that change your view?
No.
Really interesting point from Trolls.
No, I don't think so. Look at the games we played against City. We looked miles apart from them in both games. I don't think.
Alex.
No. But I think.
We
Sorry,
did.
I think the City games, for us to win the league, we need to beat City at least once in the season, in my view, and ideally at home. But without Saliba, we dropped. I probably deleted the graphic, but we dropped so many points in games. The Brighton game, that wouldn't have happened with Saliba, I don't think. Definitely the Southampton game wouldn't have happened with Saliba. There's so many games that we drop points without Saliba because we had Rob Holding in place that we're not going to slag the guy off, but we've all said where his failings are with distribution and stuff like that. The guy wears his heart on his sleeve, and I think he deserves to wear the Arsenal shirt. But we need a fit Saliba, as Andy said. I do think if we had Saliba, I think we'd push City further, and with other teams being off, we could have won the league this season. I think we've been fantastic this season, and I'm proud to be an Arsenal fan. Look, we've got the most away clean sheets, more than any other team. We've 10 away clean sheets, down to that great keeper that we've got in Aaron Ramsdale. And the closest is Villa. Yeah, I'm glad he didn't keep a clean sheet against us. But the Brentford keepers is fantastic. Ex-Arsenal keepers, 3 out of the top 4 Arsenal keepers. So it's a testament to say that something is going right at Arsenal. But we are just a way off in numbers and quality. You said 13 earlier when my camera was off. I think we got probably 15 first team players, Dan. But
and I'm going to come to Heath's question after this, Dan. Fergus, really interesting, right? Because a very wise old head said to me earlier this season that it's all right winning London games, it's all right winning all your derbies in London, but to win the league, you've got to win in the Northwest. To win the Football League or the Premier League, you've got to win in the Northwest. And this year, we've lost at Everton, we've lost at Man United, we've lost at City and drawn at Liverpool. That is where we need to improve. If you win in the Northwest, you win the league. That is what this old head said to me. And at the time, I sort of brushed it off. But the more I think about it and the more I see the season develop, it sort of resonates a bit, Anyway, question for Dan.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting because I think if you take it as a whole...
Read the question out first so people on audio can understand what the question is.
No, they need to come over to YouTube, though.
Yeah, they do, but people do listen.
I'm creating.
It says, Dan, are we not ahead of the process this season? So next season, has it to be the same?
I would say no. I get the point that there is, let's say, a 3 or a 5 year plan or whatever you want to call it. And ultimately, if you said at the beginning, in the end of that plan, to achieve it, would you be happy? You'd say yes. But we're not there anymore. We're ahead of it. We're ahead of the curve. But that doesn't mean drop back and then, be happy with a flat season as such. Keep going. We've improved. Keep improving. Go on to the next stage. We've near enough skipped a stage, right? So I still think as winners, if you want to be winners, you have to have that mentality. So you can't go into it saying, "Oh, we've improved so much, but if we just stay the same next season, it wouldn't be the end of the world." I mean, that's the mentality of that lot down the road.
I suppose I'm not saying stay the same, but like if we push on, I think if we add a trophy to what we've achieved this season, I think then that would be the disappointment of this season is that all our eggs were in one basket with the Premier League. I'm really disappointed that whilst I'm going to Budapest next week, the Arsenal aren't going to Budapest because I really thought that we could have won that trophy.
Don't you think that emphasizes a bit like how much further City are ahead of us with them
totally
comfortably beating Real Madrid, Bayern Munich in the FA Cup final whilst still winning the Premier League, and we
from 11 points behind.
Yeah, and then we're expected to do the same next season with only one transfer window.
Look, it's all right. We can improve as much as you want.
We will, but I just think it will take more than one transfer window.
But we'll
had a few transfer windows already, though.
Will we ever catch City? Because I have it in my head that if a player becomes available, we get him, or another club gets him, but only if City don't want him. You know what I mean? So City are just going to keep on improving because I'm not going to start. We've done all the accusations bit. We've done all the money bit. So people know what we're on about there. We don't have to mention it. But I'm telling you for nothing, if City want a player, the likelihood is they'll get him. And if they don't want him, then another club gets a look in. That's the way I see it at the moment. I'll tell you what I've just seen, Ferg. You've seen the time, son?
Yes, I know. Yeah, it's flown, hasn't it? Absolutely flown. Yeah. Before we go, I just thought, we would play a little video of the Canal House in Nottingham.
What are you doing?
You look in the mirror. Yeah. Yours, man. You need to get a bigger shirt. Yours, son.
Oh, where are we gone?
It was absolutely brilliant to see Andy do that with his shirt, and it was great to meet him. I know I've met him a few times, fleetingly at different games, but it was really good to see him there, and all the other guys as well.
Top man.
This is our last probably post-match podcast. Our next podcast won't be next Monday because I'll be away. The next podcast will be. What's that?
We'll do one then.
Oh, right, yeah. I'd like to see you try and set this up and get it going. That'd be funny. I'll watch that. I'll sit in a bar in Budapest with a cold beer at about 50p a pint, and I'll watch it. And I'll be sitting there in the comments and everything else. Yeah, we're going to do one next on the 5th of June, the following Monday. We'll do it as a phone-in. And because there's no football, we'll probably let it run a little bit longer. So if you've got questions, if you've got things you'd like to talk about, drop us a message on Twitter at Guns and Ribbons on Twitter, or you can go onto our website and send us an email. Irish Mick sent me an email today via the contact us thing as well for some hints and clues of what to do. He's over for the last game of the season, so hopefully we might see him in the Woodbine afterwards. We can't go without just mentioning about this lot. And they're back in the position they belong, which is about 8th, 9th in the league.
Before you play the music that makes me cry, right?
You know that
I've just. There's a couple of things, right? Firstly, since you played that, it's been hilarious this week because Tottenham fans have actually been trying to banter us. Well, there was a post on social media saying we got close to City, but not quite close enough. And a Spurs fan has replied, but not close enough, eh? They sort of forget that they were 24 points further back. It's hilarious. I laugh. I don't banter them now. Secondly, the Riders of the Night are in the Gunners Bar after the game this weekend. I'm sure they'd appreciate anyone going in and watching them. It's a great laugh. And then, Ferg, I've got to do this, right, because this is where I start getting emotional, right? When you look back on this season, don't look at the end of the season. Look at the whole picture, right? And just remember, right, things we've seen this season that we ain't seen before. This team gave us hope this season. We ain't had hope like we've had this season ever since I can remember. This team gave us a chance of winning the Premier League this season, when for years we've had no chance. This team got us nearly to the line. Not quite, right? This team made other fans banter us again. They bantered us, other fans. Why? Because they're jealous, because we knew we were better than them. They knew we were better, and they banter us, and I love to see it, right? This team made the pundits give us credit for the first time in years. The pundits have spent the last few years laughing at us, taking the mickey out of us. Gary the Weasel, Neville and co. have been laughing at us. Now they've had to praise us, right? And of course, overall, it's been a better season. I've just said that, right? And most importantly of all, we saw it with Ramsdale. This team engages with us fans, and it works both ways. And that has made this the most amazing season. And we've got to ride on it and enjoy it and come back stronger next season. We will. because we are the Arsenal. Capital T. I'm done, Ferg.
Sing along if you know. As I walk these streets alone, through this bar I call home, upon the barren fields of ivory, beneath the stadiums of stone, through the turnstiles of the Angel, see the homeless on the green, from the Cali to the cross, and every shithole in between. Past the church, the mosque cracked then, and the offie on the corner, see the brasses from the brothel, that pretends to be a stormer. Watch the bedlam and the bookies, see the winners and the losers, seeking solace from their sorrow in the local battle cruisers. Through the madness in the market, where the faces turn to greet ya. Hello, governor, how's your mother? You're outside me like a geezer. Double pie and mash and liquor, above a rose idiot chat, or watch retired gangsters bicker. Every day an office chat. The little fuckers causing trouble, for the causes make you smile. You meet your muckers for a couple, forget your troubles for a while. From the full nil to the hemi, all the faces are the same. Cause the manner might be changing, but the people still remain. You ready?
We didn't do forecasts.
No, we haven't. Listen, we've got loads to go through yet.
Can't take any more of this.
Listen, quickly go through forecasts. I'll go on 5-0 again. Go on, Sonny.
2-2.
I think we really need to win the last game of the season to go in with the next season with hope. So 4-0.
4-1.
4-1. Okay. I'm trying to get your picture you just sent to me, Alex. Where's it gone?
By the way, here we go. Here we go.
We need a big win.
Hey, Reese is open. Look, Reese is open. Hope you're right, Reese.
6-0. Well,
right. Like that.
Let me just try and get this
I'll
up.
say that as well, Aaron. That'll do. 4-0.
I'll say one thing while Fergus is trying to get the picture up, and I really, really want to do this weekend. Let's make Block 5 and 6 the loudest we've heard it all season. Imagine just an end-of-season party. Forget what's happened. Everyone together, loud and proud, in the Emirates early. Cheap beers in the stadium. Everyone together singing. And with the team to the end as a thank you for the road that we're on and for bringing back the love we've all got with the club.
That's the final topic. Look, we might as well go for the last 7 minutes, make it an hour and a half podcast. It's going to be probably the same. Before, who's Alex? You're not over, unfortunately. But are you staying till the end? Are you staying afterwards? Will you clap that team off, Trevor?
Oh, absolutely. I won't leave the stadium till we could lose 5-0 and I'd still be there to clap the team. It's last game of the season. It's our duty as fans. In my view, I'm not preaching. I'm just saying my view. It's our duty as fans to make sure those players know how much we appreciate what they've done.
Dan?
Absolutely. It could be 5-0, 10-0. We could anything could happen. You know, you're there to say thank you for the team, and just the difference of feel and the connection with the club is the biggest change. And just watching people week in, week out that you feel care about the club and care that we're spending money as fans to go and see a club that we love, you know. And before it felt like we are just paying. I'll come back to that, but feels like we're just paying money to pay players' wages, whereas now it doesn't feel the same. And I think that's a great shout to wrap this up with Granit Xhaka, because never has a player changed many people's opinions, including myself. And
mine.
if it is his last game, very pleased to see him go out on a high, and deserves a nice clap off as well, and shows that redemption can always be made.
Yeah. If he is gone, man, I hope they announce it so all the fans know. And
he said Xhaka.
In all my years of watching football, I've never known a player turn fans around like Xhaka has. Never known it.
I'm hoping there's another announcement coming out soon, probably today, tomorrow. But I've got a message there from somebody. Saka could be announced today. It hasn't been announced yet. They've just had a meal in Diamond together
with Ian Wright.
Yeah, so I think
what I feel about that. I think I like it. I like it.
Oh, actually, I think I've got that. I want to ask Alex one thing before. This is block 5, block 6, block 7. Be there an hour before kickoff. This is what you'll get. But bring your voice and beer. Alex, the final thing I'm going to ask you before we go is we see who's in the pots for the Champions League, and I know you're not always here because you're based in Copenhagen, and now you're a superstar journalist and everything else. This is pot 1 is Man City, Roma, Barcelona, Napoli, Dortmund, PSG, Benfica, Feyenoord. Pot 2, we're in that one, aren't we? I can't see us.
Yes, we'll be in.
Yes, yeah. We're in pot 2. Pot 3 then means that there's lots of different teams who are going there. But top of pot 4, FC Copenhagen, your local team. How good with how many people can you fit in your flat?
I'd be able to fit all of you guys, but I mean, I'll have all the gooners. We've been 30 people in the apartment, so we'll just bring in loads of gooners. That would be lovely. I don't know what my girlfriend would say about it, but
I was going to say, what's Anna going to say about that?
Yeah, she'll have to deal with it. It's just for one night, so
you might
one night only.
First, mate. Just in case. Let's not publish this. Go and check that. You might be in trouble.
No, that would be an easy away day for me in Copenhagen.
You've already got that. Now you got 3 of us.
Mate, you're in.
If everyone could drop in the chat if you're in. First 30, first come, first serve.
Yeah,
I'm in.
I'm having a bed.
I'm not sharing the sofa bed with Trev. No way. He snores too much.
No, he's going in the bathroom.
It's all going on.
Listen, guys, it's been really good. We didn't really talk about a crap day at the football because we had a great day at the football. The result didn't go the way we wanted. The season didn't finish ideally how we wanted, but bloody hell, if I asked you at the start of August that we'd be running the oil mega rich corrupt Man City right to the wire on the penultimate game of the season, mathematically still to be in the title challenge, you would have ripped my hand off. We would have wanted Champions League football. You have been watching an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. If you like what we do, if you listen on audio or whatever you do, please jump over onto the YouTube channel. Just click subscribe and ring the bell. And if you watch it or listen, I really don't care, but we're 867 users. Let's try and get to 1,000 before we start back in the summer. And remember, we are doing a phone-in on 7 o'clock on the 5th, which is the Monday night in 2 weeks' time.
Remember, Ferg, you've got to say, clicking that like button on YouTube helps us do different things, helps us get better. None of us on here earn a penny out of this podcast. We do it because we're Arsenal fans. And since it's the last one, I've just written this down. We all, if you enjoy this podcast, right, you all, along with me, owe Fergus a massive thank you because he plans it, he gets it ready, he pulls his hair out, he puts up with me taking a mickey out of him all week. And it takes him a
Boisterous.
long time just to get it sorted, a bit of a running order that I never look at, if I'm honest. But he does try his best. And I love doing this, but I only do this because Fergus carries us along. He's the main man, and I'll just put it on record. Cheers, mate. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for the effort, Ferg.
Yeah, just buy beers, okay? Buy beers. Up there.
My microphone's just broken. I can't hear.
You've been listening to Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Follow us on Facebook at Guns and Yellow Ribbons and Twitter at Guns and Ribbons. And remember to rate and review us too.